The stars blinked in the vast expanse of space, seemingly indifferent to the small human vessel that drifted silently through the galaxy. The ship, the Exodus, was on its routine mission, exploring uncharted regions, scanning for new planets and celestial phenomena. It was just another day in the lives of the crew aboard the vessel, a day like any other. Captain Marcus Hale stood in the command center, eyes focused on the control panel before him. He had been in space long enough to know that routine could be deceiving. Everything was calm, too calm. It was almost as if the universe was waiting for something to happen. "Captain, you might want to take a look at this," said Lieutenant Sarah Tran, her voice breaking the quiet atmosphere. She glanced nervously at her screen, her fingers hovering over the controls. Marcus walked over, his boots clicking against the metallic floor. Sarah pointed to a blinking dot on the radar, a small signal that had appeared out of nowhere. It wasn't on their map, and there was no explanation for its sudden appearance. "What is it?" Marcus asked, his curiosity piqued. "It's a faint signal, coming from deep space," Sarah replied. "It's definitely not natural. Could be a malfunction, but it looks like it's coming from something alive." Marcus narrowed his eyes. A living signal? It made no sense. "Run a full analysis," he ordered. As the crew scrambled to analyze the strange signal, an eerie silence took over the ship. Everyone in the control room could feel the tension rising. There was something about this signal that didn't sit right with them. It was almost as if it was calling to them. Minutes passed, each second stretching into eternity. The technicians worked tirelessly, trying to figure out what was going on. Finally, a report came through the system. "Captain, you should see this," Sarah's voice shook slightly. The captain turned to find a message blinking on her screen: "Human vessel detected. Location, Expanse Sector 47. Marcus stared at the words, his heart suddenly racing. It couldn't be. No human vessel had ever ventured this far into uncharted space. He tried to remain calm, but a sense of unease settled in his chest. He pressed his communicator. "Crew, stay alert. Something's not right." Before he could say anything more, the radar blipped again. This time, it wasn't just a faint signal. A massive ship appeared on the scan. The Exodus was a relatively small vessel, used for exploration, but this was something different. The object was enormous, far larger than anything they had ever seen. Sarah's hands trembled as she ran the data through the system. It's not just any ship, Captain. It's an alien ship." The word hit the crew like a wave of cold water. Alien. Marcus had heard rumors of alien life, but never had he imagined that he would witness it firsthand. This was no longer just a mission, this was something that could change humanity's future forever. "How close is it?" Marcus asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "It's moving fast, Captain. And it's heading straight for us." Sarah replied, panic creeping into her voice. The Exodus had no weapons to defend itself, only scanners and communications. They were sitting ducks in the middle of hostile space. Suddenly, the alien ship transmitted a message. It was in a language no one on the crew could understand, but the tone was unmistakable: hostile. There was no doubt about it now. They were not alone in the universe, and the first contact they made was anything but peaceful. The screen blinked again, this time with a clear, terrifying message: "Terminate the human vessel. Prepare for annihilation." Marcus's heart stopped. He had barely registered the message when the ship's alarms began to blare. The Exodus was under attack. "Brace for impact," he shouted, as the crew scrambled to their stations. The calm of space had shattered. The unexpected discovery of an alien vessel, not far from Earth, had set off a chain of events that no one could have predicted. Humanity was no longer the only life in the universe, and the aliens weren't here to make peace. They had come for war. And the crew of the Exodus was about to experience the consequences of humanity's first contact with the unknown. The crew of the Exodus was thrown into chaos. The blaring alarms echoed through the narrow halls of the vessel as they scrambled to respond to the alien threat. Captain Marcus Hale stood at the center of the command room, trying to maintain a semblance of control amidst the panic. "We're under attack," Lieutenant Sarah Tran repeated, her voice now a harsh whisper as she studied the alien vessel on her screen. The message, "Terminate the human vessel. Prepare for annihilation," repeated over and over in her mind, a grim reminder of how close they were to extinction. The ship shuddered as a violent jolt rattled the hull. A blast from the alien vessel slammed into the Exodus, sending a shockwave through the command center. Sparks flew from the control panels, and the crew's movements became frantic. "Captain. Shields are down to 40%. We won't last long at this rate," Sarah shouted, her hands flying over the console as she tried to reroute power. Marcus clenched his fists, his mind racing. He knew they had no weapons to fight back. The Exodus wasn't a military vessel, it was built for exploration, for peaceful encounters, not warfare. Yet, here they were, facing something far beyond their understanding. "Engage evasive maneuvers. Get us out of here," Marcus ordered, his voice steely despite the fear creeping into his chest. The ship lurched as the crew worked desperately to change course, but the alien vessel was faster, more powerful. It wasn't long before another blast rocked the Exodus, sending alarms wailing again. "This is insane," shouted Commander Jax, the ship's tactical officer. "We're being hunted by something we don't even understand. We can't outrun it." Marcus turned to Sarah. "Is there any way to communicate with them? Maybe we can stop this before it's too late." Sarah quickly brought up a translation program on her console, trying to decode the alien message. The program, a basic AI translator, attempted to analyze the strange symbols and tones from the message. It was no use, the alien language was far too complex. "There's nothing we can say that'll stop them," Sarah replied, her face pale with fear. "We've already been marked. This isn't just a misunderstanding, they're here to destroy us." The situation was growing direr by the second. The alien ship wasn't simply attacking, they were targeting the Exodus's engines, trying to disable them. If the engines went down, the Exodus would be a sitting duck, unable to escape. Marcus knew he had to make a choice. They couldn't fight their way out, and they couldn't run forever. "Is there anything on this ship we can use to defend ourselves?" Marcus asked, the desperation in his voice barely contained. The crew exchanged looks. It was Lieutenant Sarah Tran who finally spoke, her eyes bright with a mix of fear and determination. "We have one option, but it's risky. There's an emergency warhead in the cargo bay, but it's untested. It could blow the Exodus apart if we try to use it." Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. A warhead. It was the last thing he wanted to use, but it might be the only chance they had. "If it comes to that, we have no choice. Prepare it." With the alien vessel closing in, the crew's movements became frantic as they rushed to prepare the emergency weapon. The tension in the air was palpable, each second felt like an eternity. As the warhead was being primed, Marcus stood at the center of the control room, his mind running through the possibilities. Would this even work? The alien ship was enormous, far more advanced than the Exodus. And the warhead, it was a desperate measure, something no one aboard the ship wanted to use. But if they didn't, the Exodus wouldn't survive the next round of attacks. Just as the warhead was nearly ready to be deployed, a chilling sound filled the room. A low hum, like a distant whisper, grew louder. It was coming from the alien ship. The communication system flashed to life with a sudden, urgent transmission. "Human vessel," the voice echoed through the speaker. It was distorted, alien, but somehow, there was a chilling clarity to the tone. "You are trespassing in sacred space. Your kind will cease to exist." The crew froze. It wasn't just a warning anymore. The alien ship was preparing to fire once again. "Captain," Sarah said softly, "we can't fight them. We can only run or die trying." Marcus's mind raced. There had to be another way, another option. But in the depths of space, where time was running out, he knew they were rapidly approaching a decision that would determine their fate. "Fire the warhead," Marcus ordered, his voice unwavering despite the turmoil in his chest. "Prepare for impact." The countdown began. With the alien ship closing in for another strike, the Exodus's crew had only one chance to stop them. The warhead was their final gamble, a last-ditch effort to escape the clutches of an alien force far beyond their comprehension. But as the seconds ticked down, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were not just fighting for survival, they were about to make a dangerous decision that could change the course of human history forever. The countdown to launch the warhead felt like a ticking clock that echoed in the minds of everyone on the Exodus. The tension in the control room was unbearable, and every second seemed to stretch longer than the last. Marcus Hale stood rigid at the center of the command room, his eyes fixed on the countdown timer, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on him. 20 seconds until warhead deployment, Sarah Tran said, her voice barely a whisper as she kept her eyes locked on the screen. The crew had no time left. The alien ship was closing in fast. It was massive, sleek, and terrifying, unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It was designed for destruction, and the Exodus was nothing more than a speck in the vastness of space. If they didn't act now, they would be obliterated. "Prepare to launch," Marcus ordered, his tone firm, though the fear in his chest threatened to break through. He hated that it had come to this. The idea of using the warhead, the only weapon left on the ship, seemed like a last-resort gamble. But there was no other choice. It was either fight or die. As Sarah and her team scrambled to ready the weapon, a sudden voice crackled through the intercom, freezing everyone in their tracks. "Captain Hale, if you launch that warhead, you will have no future," the alien voice echoed through the speakers, chilling the crew to their core. "We are not your enemies. But you will be if you force our hand." The word sent a shiver down Marcus's spine. The alien ship had been silent until now. They had shown no mercy in their attacks, and yet, now they were speaking to them like this. It was as though they were trying to warn them. "Sarah, pause the countdown," Marcus ordered. There was a moment of hesitation, but the lieutenant obeyed. The screen showing the countdown timer froze at 8 seconds. "Captain, are you sure about this?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling slightly. "If we don't fire soon, we'll be sitting ducks." Marcus didn't respond immediately. He looked at the screen, at the alien ship now mere kilometers away. There had to be another way. His mind raced, trying to make sense of the alien message. "We are not your enemies," it was cryptic, but it was clear enough. "Try to hail them again," Marcus ordered. "Maybe there's something we're missing. Maybe they want to talk." The crew scrambled once more, sending out a communication beam in an attempt to reach the alien vessel. The transmission was shaky, the static almost unbearable, but they finally received a response. The alien voice returned, but this time, it was different. The coldness was gone. "You humans are reckless, but you have something we need," the voice said. It was calm, almost pleading. "We have been watching you. Your species is not as primitive as we first thought." The crew exchanged nervous glances. What could the aliens possibly want with them? With humanity? "Why have you attacked us?" Marcus demanded. "What is it you want from us?" The voice responded without hesitation. "Your technology. You have discovered something powerful, something we need to survive. We wish to trade, not destroy." The message hit Marcus like a punch to the gut. The aliens weren't here to annihilate them, they were after something. Something humanity had discovered. And now, they were offering a trade. A deal. Marcus tried to remain calm. "What do you want from us?" he asked, his voice steady. "We need your knowledge of the star systems you've explored," the alien voice explained. "There is a power hidden within one of your planets, a power we cannot reach on our own. Help us, and we will spare your people." Refuse, and we will be forced to take it by force. The revelation struck like a bomb. The alien ship had been monitoring humanity, observing their progress. They had known about Earth's space exploration and the discovery of something powerful. It was clear now, the aliens weren't interested in war, not initially. They wanted to manipulate humanity into handing over what they had found. The Exodus crew was caught in a moral dilemma. Was humanity ready to trust these aliens, or had they been pushed too far? The threat of destruction still loomed overhead, and the warhead was still primed and ready to launch. But if they fired, it would mean war. If they trusted the aliens, they might be handing over the most valuable discovery in human history. Marcus's heart raced as he weighed the decision. The crew was counting on him to lead them through this. To make the right choice. "Stand down the warhead," Marcus said finally, his voice heavy with the gravity of his decision. "We'll help you, but we need to know more." "What exactly are you asking for?" The alien voice responded immediately, as if relieved. "We need access to your planetary archives. Your scientists' knowledge. You will hand over the data, and we will leave you in peace." Marcus stared at the screen, his mind spinning. Could he trust them? Could humanity afford to hand over such powerful knowledge? The fate of his crew, and the future of Earth, now rested on this decision. Before Marcus could say anything more, the ship's sensors detected a new signal. It wasn't coming from the alien ship, it was coming from a nearby asteroid field. And it was human. "Captain, there's another ship nearby." "It's not ours," Sarah said, her voice filled with alarm. "It's human, but the coordinates don't match anything on our records." Marcus's heart skipped a beat. A new player in the game? Who were they, and what did they want? The room fell silent as the crew waited for the next move in this escalating game of survival. The Exodus hung in the vast emptiness of space, suspended between two impossible choices. Marcus Hale stood in front of the main viewport, gazing out at the distant alien vessel that loomed like a ghost, its dark silhouette casting a shadow over their fragile ship. The crew was still recovering from the shock of the alien transmission, each member digesting the revelation that their fate might be tied to these otherworldly beings. What the aliens had proposed was simple: hand over their most valuable knowledge, or face annihilation. Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about technology. There was something deeper, something hidden beneath their demands. But time was running out. The alien ship had not backed down, and every moment they lingered in space could bring them closer to an irreversible conflict. "Captain," Sarah Tran's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back to reality. She stood at the communications panel, her face grim. "The new ship, it's sending a signal. It's not responding to our hails, but it's broadcasting something. A distress signal." Marcus's pulse quickened. This was no coincidence. A new human ship had appeared out of nowhere, and now, it was sending out a distress call, as if it were in trouble. Or worse, desperate. The idea of another human vessel appearing in this uncharted region was unsettling. They had to find out who it was and whether they were friend or foe. "Put it on screen," Marcus ordered. The screen flickered, and for a brief moment, static filled the room. The image cleared, revealing a familiar sight: human, but unlike any ship they had seen before. The vessel was sleek, almost otherworldly in design. It had a military feel to it, yet the markings on its hull were unfamiliar. The distress signal was repeated over and over, but it wasn't a standard cry for help. There was something coded about it, as if the message was meant to be deciphered. "Can you break the code?" Marcus asked. Sarah's fingers flew over her console. The seconds stretched out as the crew waited anxiously. "I think I've got it, Captain. It's a series of coordinates, and a message. It says, humanity's future is in our hands. Protect the knowledge. Do not trust the aliens." The words hit like a bombshell. Protect the knowledge. The very phrase that had been the aliens' demand echoed in Marcus's mind. Who were these people? What did they know that the aliens didn't? Captain, it's a military vessel, Sarah continued, her eyes scanning the incoming data. This ship, it's not registered in any known database. It's not from Earth, at least not officially. It might be a Black Ops mission, or something else entirely. Marcus's mind raced. This new ship had knowledge of the very thing that the aliens wanted. And their message? It suggested a conspiracy, a hidden truth far beyond what the crew of the Exodus had imagined. The stakes were higher now. It wasn't just about surviving the aliens, it was about the very knowledge humanity had uncovered. Could this new ship be the key to understanding the aliens' true motives? Do we know if they're friendly? Commander Jax asked, eyeing the unfamiliar ship with caution. We can't be sure, Marcus answered, his voice low. But we have to find out. Prepare to make contact. The crew worked swiftly, preparing a communication channel. Sarah punched in the necessary codes, and within moments, the channel was open. The screen flashed to life, and Marcus felt his breath catch in his chest. The face of the commander aboard the new vessel appeared, grizzled, battle-worn, and tired, as though he had seen things no one should ever have to see. Captain Hale, the man's voice was cold but direct. I knew someone would come eventually. We're running out of time. Who are you? Marcus demanded, unable to hide his suspicion. What is your mission? The commander's eyes narrowed. We were sent to stop the aliens before they get what they want. Your vessel is in grave danger. They've already seen the potential of your species, and now they're trying to control it. I'm not sure if you can trust us, but we are humanity's last line of defense. We know what the aliens want, and it's not just knowledge, it's your very survival. The words felt like a slap. Marcus's mind spun. The aliens didn't just want technology, they wanted control. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but the big question remained, what was it about humanity that made them such a valuable target? Why were the aliens so desperate to obtain the knowledge that humans had uncovered? We have intel that suggests they've been watching us for a long time, the commander continued. They know what we've discovered in the far reaches of space, an ancient power hidden deep within one of your planets. It's not just a resource, it's something that could change the balance of the universe. Where is it? Marcus asked, his voice tense. The commander hesitated for a moment, as though weighing whether or not to trust them. Finally, he spoke. We don't know exactly. But we have a lead. The planet's coordinates are encrypted, but we've cracked part of the code. We're close. If we don't act fast, the aliens will have it, and humanity won't stand a chance. Marcus's eyes narrowed. They were sitting on a powder keg, and the match was already lit. The fate of humanity was about to be decided, and it would depend on the crew of the Exodus and this mysterious ship. They had to make a choice, join forces with these unknown humans, or fight alone against an alien force far more advanced than anything they had ever imagined. But one thing was clear now, the real war wasn't just about space. It was about the future of humanity. And it was about to get even more dangerous. The tension in the control room of the Exodus was unbearable. The crew had received an unexpected, almost unbelievable offer, an alliance with a mysterious human military vessel, one that was deeply entrenched in the battle against the aliens. But as Marcus Hale stared at the screens before him, the urgency of their situation became clear, time was running out. The aliens were preparing for their final assault, and the human fleet had just one shot to stop them. The new vessel, the Vanguard, had shared crucial intelligence with Marcus. The coordinates to the planet where the ancient power was hidden had been partially decrypted. But the final piece of the puzzle was still missing, and it was buried deep within the encrypted files on the Vanguard's database. This was humanity's last chance to seize control of the situation and prevent the aliens from gaining the power that could shift the balance of the galaxy. We have to make a move, Commander Jax said, his voice strained with impatience. The alien fleet is readying another strike. They're not going to wait forever. Marcus stood silently, his mind racing. Every choice felt like a gamble. Trusting the Vanguard and their mysterious mission meant risking everything, but going it alone against the alien fleet would mean certain death for his crew. He could almost feel the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. "Captain, the alien fleet is signaling again," Sarah Tran said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're giving us one final warning, to surrender or face complete destruction." Marcus glanced at the screen. The message was chilling: "Your time is running out, humans. Surrender or perish." "Can we still decrypt the rest of their coordinates?" Marcus asked, turning to the Vanguard's commander, who had joined the conversation through a secure channel. "Not unless we act fast," the commander replied. "But we've got one shot. We've pinpointed the planet, but we need to launch a combined strike at their fleet, simultaneously. If we don't, the aliens will continue their hunt, and the knowledge we've found will be lost forever." The reality of the situation hit Marcus hard. The final choice was upon them. They had to make a decision: rely on the mysterious ship's intel and risk everything in a final strike, or face an unknown fate if they didn't take the leap. "Okay," Marcus said, taking a deep breath. "Prepare for the combined assault. But we need to hit them now, or we'll never have another chance." The command room erupted in motion as the crew of the Exodus worked in overdrive. The Vanguard had already positioned itself at the edge of the battle zone, preparing to engage the alien fleet. But Marcus knew their odds of success were slim. The aliens had powerful technology, far beyond anything humanity could hope to match. Still, if they could disable the alien fleet's central command, they might have a chance to break their hold on the galaxy. "Launch the warhead on my mark," Marcus ordered, his voice unwavering. "This is it. We've got one shot at this." Sarah and the crew scrambled, getting the warhead ready for launch. Meanwhile, the Vanguard prepared its own weapons, locking on to the alien fleet's weak points. The combined forces would launch together, one final push to take down the enemy. 5 seconds, Sarah called out. "Ready to fire." The crew held their breath, waiting for the signal. Marcus stared at the screen, the alien ship still looming ominously ahead. If they missed this shot, it would be over. The weight of the decision, the cost of failure, threatened to crush him. He had to make the right call. "Mark!" Marcus shouted. The warhead launched. The Exodus and the Vanguard fired simultaneously, sending their payload straight into the heart of the alien fleet. Time seemed to slow down as the missiles soared through the vastness of space. Then, a massive explosion shook the very fabric of the universe. The shockwave from the blast sent ripples through space, distorting the surrounding stars as the alien fleet erupted into chaos. For a moment, it seemed like victory was within their grasp. The alien ships began to break apart, their advanced technology failing in the face of humanity's desperate strike. But just as the dust began to settle, a new, even more terrifying figure emerged from the wreckage. A massive alien command ship, far larger and more powerful than anything they had encountered before, loomed in front of them. The explosion had taken down the smaller ships, but this was no ordinary vessel. It was the heart of the alien invasion, the source of their control. "Captain, they're launching a counterattack," Sarah shouted. "We're not done yet." The alien command ship fired a devastating beam straight at the Exodus. The ship shuddered violently as the blast hit, sending sparks flying across the command center. Systems began to fail, and alarms screamed in protest. "We need to get out of here," Jax shouted. "They'll destroy us if we stay in this fight." Marcus, however, stood his ground. He had one final option. The ancient power the aliens sought, it was here. Deep within the heart of the galaxy, it was waiting to be uncovered. It could either save them, or doom them all. "We can't run," Marcus said, his voice firm with resolve. "We've come too far. We have to take this final risk. We're going after that power. It's our only chance." With one last desperate move, Marcus ordered the crew to prepare for a dangerous jump into the unknown, straight into the heart of the alien command ship's defenses. The Exodus plunged toward the heart of the enemy vessel, the crew bracing for impact. The next moments were a blur. In the blink of an eye, the Exodus broke through the alien ship's defenses, entering its core. And then, everything went black. When the lights finally flickered back on, Marcus found himself standing in the middle of a destroyed command center. The alien fleet was gone. The battle was over. But what remained was something far more dangerous. The power the aliens had sought was now in their hands. The Exodus had survived. Humanity had survived. But the cost was unimaginable. Marcus knew they had won, but at what price?